The Coke Zero Sugar race in Daytona was one of Kyle Busch's best performances of the season so far. He came so close to winning the race, but Harrison Burton took it away from him on the very last lap. There was one move Busch could have made to get past Burton, but couldn't do it due to the stunt RCR pulled in Richmond. 2 weeks back in Richmond, we saw Austin Dillon intentionally take out Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin to secure a race win. NASCAR came to a decision to penalize Dillon and RCR for that move as it had crossed a line. Due to that move, Dillon and RCR lost their playoff eligibility for the season. During the last race in Daytona, Kyle Busch was leading the pack during the final overtime restart of the race. As the race resumed, he was able to get a good launch and continue with the lead, but Burton, who was behind him, was able to get a decent draft and use it to get ahead on the final lap. Busch did fight back and came really close to taking back the lead, but his efforts went in vain as Burton took the checkered flag. But our efforts never go in vain as we have the best NASCAR fan base in our community. So if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button and join the greatest NASCAR fans in the world. There was one more thing Busch could have done to secure that win. He could have wrecked Burton going into that final corner and taken the checkered flag. But as Dillon did that same move just 2 races back in Richmond and got penalized for it, Busch would have received the same penalty if he had done it again. After the race, Busch had this to say: "Once we got to turn 4, there just wasn't enough energy in our cars from behind me. I was relying on my own draft to pass the 21. That happened so slow that every Charles could walk that. So besides wrecking him, nothing to do. I could have jumped up in front of the 21 and probably taken that, but I don't know that he would have kept straight on me. I had more trust in the 20 there being a better ally, but it didn't work out," Busch explained after having to settle for a P2 finish. Many times in the past, drivers have wrecked other cars to secure a win for themselves and have gotten away with it. But when Dillon did it last time, it was obvious that he intended to wreck Logano and Hamlin. In fact, his spotter came on the radio and yelled out, "Wreck him," as Hamlin came beside Dillon. So if Busch had attempted to do the same in Daytona, NASCAR would have seen it as a pattern for RCR. So when you look at it from this perspective, Austin Dillon, Richard Childress' grandson, cost Kyle Busch the race win and a playoff spot for the season. The 2024 season has been the worst season for Busch. He has not won a single race and has been unlucky throughout the year. He's been complaining a lot about the next-gen cars. The next-gen cars were introduced to NASCAR during the 2022 season. The cars were designed to generate more downforce to accommodate low-speed corners in road circuits and street circuits. It also allows the drivers to attack corners at high speed. But all good things come at a cost. By increasing the downforce, the cars have become more aerodynamically sensitive. This makes it vulnerable to dirty air during the race. A car usually faces dirty air while following another car in front, which happens quite often in NASCAR. When the car faces dirty air, it becomes very unstable and difficult to control during the corners. The effect of the dirty air can usually be minimalized with certain setup changes. However, RCR and Kyle Busch have not been able to make the right changes. But even with the right setup changes, RCR will have a disadvantage as they're running the Ford Mustangs. The Mustang Dark Horses have not been the best cars in NASCAR this year. When the season first started, none of the Ford teams were able to win a race. The first victory for Ford came just before the All-Star race when Keselowski took the win for Penske in Darlington. So far, Ford has only won 6 races total. Ford definitely had high hopes for their Dark Horse model, but after a series of disappointing performances, even Ford had to admit that there was a problem with the design. "It's definitely been a tough start to the season," said Mark Rushbrook, Global Director of Ford Performance Motorsports. "You can't deny that, and it's something our teams, our drivers, and all our engineers supporting them take very seriously. We've had some reasons to have confidence in terms of poles, but poles don't win races. I'm very confident as we've developed the Mustang Dark Horse with our teams that we have a better body this year than we did last year. It's better for drag, it's better for downforce. We also shifted the balance for it. But with those improvements, it's still new, and what we're all working through now is to make sure we're optimizing that potential. I think there are definitely some opportunities for us to really maximize that and ultimately translate into results. Ford is not doing well at all, and RCR is one of the teams that have taken the largest hit from Ford's failure to perform. Coming back to RCR's performance this season, there's no doubt that RCR has not been very ethical in the past few weeks, especially since the Austin Dillon incident in Richmond. Despite being at fault, RCR has defended its decisions during that last lap of the Richmond race. They filed an appeal to the National Motorsports Appeal Panel, which denied the appeal. Even still, RCR has decided to file another appeal to the final appeal officer, who will also most likely deny the appeal. RCR is now making a fool out of themselves by dragging the issue. If you look at the tweet on RCR's page stating that they will appeal to the final appeal officer, everyone in the comments knows that RCR is in the wrong here. There's not a single comment that states that RCR is doing the right thing. The best thing for RCR right now is to let things go immediately. Just accept the loss and move on. Here are some of the comments from the tweet. You embarrassed our sport with that move, then doubling down on it. Just take the L. Keep appealing, it's sticking. You don't get to drive through people for a playoff spot. Just take the loss and move on, guys. Everybody disagrees with you that it was a fair win. Like that last comment read, everybody disagrees with RCR. Anyone can just take one look at the replay and see that Dillon intended to wreck Logano and Hamlin. At this point, RCR knows that they will not be able to get another race win during this regular season, especially with just 2 more races to go. Because of this, RCR is doing everything it can to reverse NASCAR's penalty. If Dillon does not qualify for the playoffs, the team will not only lose the chance to race for the title, but they will also take a huge financial loss. In NASCAR, teams are paid based on which position they are in the points table, and whether or not they qualify for the playoffs. Denny Hamlin thinks RCR will lose about $2 to $2.5 million due to the penalties preventing them from participating in the playoffs. With this fact, it makes sense why RCR is trying so hard to get that penalty reversed. However, it doesn't change the fact that the penalties were well-deserved and justified. In fact, some believe that the penalties were not harsh enough. Now that RCR is a sinking ship, Busch will be looking to exit the team at the earliest opportunity. He earlier stated that he would leave RCR if Joe Gibbs Racing or Hendrick Motorsports had approached him, but both of those teams have confirmed their lineup for next season. However, there is one team that could sign Busch up for 2025, Spire Motorsports. A few weeks back, Spire Motorsports announced that they will not be extending Corey LaJoie's contract after this season. Hence, they will be looking for a new driver, and it was reported that Busch was in their shortlist. However, Spire Motorsports may not be much of an improvement from RCR. In fact, they might be worse off than RCR. Besides, Busch still has a contract to drive for RCR until the end of the 2025 season. So it is likely that Busch will stay with RCR until the contract is completed. For the 2026 season, Busch could be looking to jump ship to either JGR or HMS. Both of these teams will have empty seats then and could be looking for a change. Do you think Kyle Busch should remain with RCR or leave to join a better team? If yes, which team would he go to? Post your thoughts in the comment section below.